castle. There are some higher tiers of crabs when compared to the treatment plant, so I make sure to stand back and take them out before they can close the distance. Those claws can tear through you something fierce. Exhibit A, the one time I did not stand back. Next try, and history very nearly repeats itself on multiple occasions. I'm able to momentarily get away from the and walk off the drop. This gives some brief respite, although not for long. Not only is he hot on my heels once he finds his way down, but due to all those eggs we scrambled, the Queen has also shown up and already causing a ruckus for Preston and the others. I keep retreating all the while firing pot shots at the legendary Tyler. Things do get a little rough here and there while him managing to pinch me again. Luckily this time I was at full health, so I was able to tank the hit and just get through. After about a minute of just whirling him around the outskirts, I'm finally able to put him down for good. His legendary item is an unyielding leather right leg, which is neat. +3 to all stats when at 25% rest health could potentially come in handy at some point. Not important right now, we need to deal with the Queen. Not gonna lie, she was much less stressful than that legendary. While, yes, my blasting would get her attention, she never seemed all that interested on leaving the interior section of the castle. This meant I was free to just kinda shoot away safely at a distance, and only occasionally duck behind the wall for cover. To be honest, I spend most of this fight giving her children the stern finger wagging, as while she is busy eating Preston, they keep trying to nibble my toes. She eventually loses all interest in me entirely, and began heading for the high ground. But, luckily, by this stage she was also low enough that a few final shots were all it took for me to emerge victorious. I then set up the radio, turned in the quest to Garvey, and then proceeded to venture forth from the castle and never returned. Walking through downtown Boston on my way to the castle had me marking a large story-related area on the map. Combine that with me getting the location of Fort Hagen earlier, and I figured now was as good a time as any to get through the first act of the main quest. Had a nearly flawless encounter with Swan before going in to rescue Nick. Couldn't tell you why, but he just wasn't as aggressive. The only hit that he did manage to land was right at the end, but he clocked me square in the head with a piece of thrown debris. The best part of taking out Swan this early is of course the armor that he's brought. It's not unique or anything, but taking him out this early essentially guarantees that you will get a substantial upgrade to at least one part of the tier. I was lucky enough to get a heavy metal right leg as well as a sturdy metal chest, both of which are much better than whatever I had previously. Sure, I'll lose out on the stat increases from the legendary leg I got, but they were only going to be effective when I was basically on death's door anyway, so they weren't going to be all that helpful in the grand scheme of things. The triggerments by the entryway are just cannon pops, same as usual. The section in the tunnel is filled to the brim with them like normal, so I have to go in with stealth and just silently phrasing, and silently shoot as many as I can. This stealth approach wasn't entirely necessary. Once the armor I just got, I could probably easily just walk through and tank their hits. Needless to say, the rest of the extraction mission went off without a hitch. The encounter with Skinny and Darla plays out like normal. Skinny is so busy flapping his gums that he doesn't react fast enough to my prodding, and ends up dead before the rest of them can really comprehend the situation. Darla gets a few good hits in on me, but that's a given. That woman is a menace with her bat, easily the strongest of the 4 enemies here. Fortunately, I can survive having my brain rattle around in my skull just long enough to crack my knuckles and put her down. A few more shots from me and Nick then mop up the final 2 guards, allowing us to move on with our day. Naturally, you would assume I'm off to Diamond City next to move the story along so that Kellogg will be in the fort. Well, that's not what I did. Rather, I met up with Paladin Dance and helped him with the whole ArcJet situation. Not much worth going over, seeing how he can solo this mission. Even with my help, he does most of the work. To prove my worth even a little bit to him, I did decide to forego melting him to a crisp, and actually stood my ground and fought off the synths until they stopped sending in reinforcements. After which I hand over the transmitter, and just like that, we are now a member of the Brotherhood of Steel. I accompanied Dance back to the station, and after some unskippable dialogue, I tried to tell him about Brandis' squad. Sadly, turns out he won't accept them or even acknowledge them until you do one raiding quest for either Reese or Helen. I choose Helen simply because Reese is a prick. Very straightforward task here. I simply need to head on over to the Beantown Brewery and clear it out. Okay, that's a lie. I'm actually here to retrieve some old world technology found in the end dungeon chest. But hey, any excuse to go on a morally righteous sanctioned murder rampage is fine by me. I bring the scrap back to Helen and then turn over the holotags and tapes to Dance. Don't get anything other than some caps for doing so, but that's only because I got the XP reward earlier when I gunned down Brandis. FYI, I did not mention that last detail to Dance, as I don't think it was necessary.
At age 16, I was able to qualify for Team USA as the women's pro fencer for the 2016 Rio Paralympic Games. I was really fortunate as a teenager to go travel the world, and I really thought that sport would be a breath of thing. However, because of injuries and disability, I had to retire at the very old age of 20, and I think I was just faced with this question of what's next for my now. I really decided that 2024 was going to be the year that I invested in myself professionally. And what always came back to me was this need or want to give back to the Paralympic movement. And how can I set the Paralympic movement up for success for future generations? When the opportunity with Team USA in the field came to me, through their running network, I was introduced to the global. And at the time, I was fortunate to be working alongside such great HR professionals. I ended up thinking to myself, how can I win here? I looked into it, and Purdue Global had a certificate program that completed in less than a year that gave me a cutting edge. And I said, you know what, let's go ahead and get the school and the certificate so I can really set myself up for success, to set others up for success. When I think about my journey as a Team USA athlete, it shows a lot of parallels to being with a student. As an athlete, you are expected to put in time and efforts to perfecting your craft. It's a parallel to investing in yourself through your studies. The future feels possible right now because I know that because of all the opportunities given to me through Team USA and Guilds, that I'm prepared to take anything and spin it into success. This is my comeback. Start your comeback today at PurdueGlobal.edu.
Memory. Look. I spent the happiest years of my life in this forge.
When I was a boy, my pa, Martin, was here and told me back then he spent the best years of his life here.
If we were to find a talented blacksmith, the workshop could be as beautiful as a child.
I can be that blacksmith.
Word will spread soon enough that locals don't have to go to the city to have something forged. Nothing shaving, and you'll have your first customers.
You blacksmiths can pull teeth, is that wrong?
Well, I don't want to. Leave me.
Word is you fancy a chance at fixing the damned old clock of ours.
That's right.
Or you can't do the line.
You cannot unscrew this here. All that, all that. If you want to unscrew that, well, first, you have to unscrew this. But then you can't get back to that. Yeah. I'll kill you. I'd like to watch you fall. I'll pay you for it.
Is it exciting?
Right, it's really hot in here.
Are we real people, babe?
Yes,
Are you sure?
I hope so.
Before
What makes you say we're real people?
And getting off the plot, I made one final beater, and it was to use for comments. Not
Are we?
to just clear out the ghouls for XP, but I
Yes.
pretend like that
Are you
was
sure?
fun. But they also complete the short creation
Are you?
quest to get the Iron Helmet from Skyrim.
Yep.
I thought it would have looked very funny with my character, but it ended up removing both my head and facials. So, to hell with that, I just went back to my Willy Wonka glasses and whatever other absurd headgear I decided on. Alright, finally, Kellogg time. Look, considering the grief he gave me in my last All-Out run, this was one of the most cathartic kills I have ever gotten on the Ball Bastard, regardless of how simple or sloppy it was. After the final normal pistol shot, he looked like he was still clinging on to life, barely, and at that moment, I realized I found a use for the revolver finger gun. I can use it to execute people. If this goes how I think it will, I should get at least one more use out of this before the end. Right, next up was the memory dam and Journey to Virgil segment. Part of the story that never really changes all that much. So instead, let's talk about a random short side quest of my own that I went off on. My goal was to get the free fall leg armor. It's a set of left and right leg armor that when worn at the same time completely negates all fall damage. So basically, like being in a suit of car armor without the superhero weapon. Personally, I cannot see myself getting a ton of use out of them, but I've actually never even attempted to get them before, so I figured it could be a fun thing to scratch off my fall bucket list, so to speak. We start by heading to the location housing the legs, which is actually none other than Mass Fusion. We'll be coming back here later in the story when it's still the Sims and Brotherhood soldiers. As for right now, though, it's just occupied by small gunners. Nothing too special, although their leader is in suit of power. Doesn't do much for his defensive capabilities, but he does take slightly longer to take down when you're average grunt, so that's something. Now, for the actual retrieval of the legs. Those of you who know about them are probably wondering how I am going to get them. Because one thing I have neglected to mention up until this point is that the legs are in an area that is inaccessible by normal means. You are supposed to get them by using the jetpack upgrade on the suit of power. I, of course, do not have the intelligence nor the necessary ranks in the science skill to craft the jetpack. To be honest, I actually have no idea if they even have a chance of spawning within the sets you find in the wild, but something tells me they could. So, where does that leave us? Simple. Glitches, of course. Not as absurd as the last one. This is actually a glitch I have seen used many times before in speedruns of these games, but I've never attempted myself. Turns out it is incredibly easy to do, and thanks to watching this tutorial video by Sims fans from nearly decades, I was able to figure out where exactly I need to go. Basically, you just need to grab a big enough item, this trash can seems to be the go-to, and then, while holding it, back up into a wall while looking down, and you will just begin to scale up the wall. Takes me a few tries as I keep missing the window and falling to my death, but after a few minutes I can get it down rather smoothly and slip right into the room like the legs. Thankfully, the safe only has a novice lock, so I can't pick it with no issue. Just like that, I never need to worry about falling again. Fun fact, reading the terminal reveals that these legs are just a big reference to the boosted Springfield Jump from Oblivion Steve's Guild questline. You all know how much I love Oblivion, meaning I also now like these legs. I get some use out of them right away as I dive out of the room, followed by me hopping off the balcony to street level. Seeing how I was in the neighborhood, this was when I went to Good Neighbor and did all that stuff I mentioned before. Skipping ahead to Green Tech, and it was a nice change of pace this go around of being able to actually deal with the gunners, as opposed to just having to pretend they didn't exist as I sprint past them. Also, due to me having usable, viable weapons, and the fact that I have ventured off on more than one account and been using them non-stop throughout this run, I have gained enough XP at this point to already be pushing 20. I have also taken all relevant damage and defense-based perks that become handy, such as Gunslinger, Toughness, and even Refractor after spending a few levels to bump up Perception. What I am trying to say here is that I am dishing out a ridiculous amount of pain on these gunners to the point where I don't even have to worry about my nemesis, the random missile-wielding gunner on the third floor. You can see the Refractor perk's energy resistance at work whenever I face down the Courser, as this normally deadly opponent is an absolute joke when he can barely tickle me, and as such, I proceed to retaliate with the guns of the Patriots. After sifting around in his brain oil, I find my second cybernetic implant of the day, and take it back to have it analysed at the Old North Church, all the while making sure not to step on any of the strawberry jam seeping into the rails and orifices. Alrighty, teleporter construction time. In 10 minutes or so. First I must help Max and I with the super mutants at Fort Strong. Yeah, I could just go and have the Minutemen build it, attack Father, and then do their version of nuclear option to have this whole thing wrapped up in the next hour. But it has been a little while since I fully sided with the Brotherhood, so I thought it would be fun to go along with them. Plus, being on the Fruitwind means I can
Dude, you gotta talk to your mom.
by just jumping off the blimp at a moment's notice. Besides,
Dude, she is like literally fucking begs you to talk to her, and you just like do not care.
Earlier,
I know that that's your
Racing with the
mom,
other super mutants, and their
and you
behavior,
don't
of
exactly
course,
like
won't
her.
fare much better.
You're gonna have to fucking put up with her eventually.
Killing the behemoth also got me to level 20, so that's cool. The interior cleanup section is smooth ceilings as well. There's a snack one of them is missile launcher, but so long as I don't take too many direct hits from it, I can easily return fire and emerge.
I haven't heard from this woman in
Before
years.
reporting a successful purge and building a teleporter, I, for whatever reason, decided to make use of the fact that I was now level 20 and travel to the CIG
about her?
ruins so that I
She
could
just
witness the
randomly
alien
texted
spaceship do
me
its crash landing.
and was like,
I
hey,
gained
so
nothing
your
from
papa
any of
would
this,
like to
but
talk
thought
to
it would
you.
be funny to
And
take
I'm
out
like,
this
oh,
literal
okay.
otherworldly creature with nothing but a certain
And she was
point.
like, oh, congratulations,
Enough
by the
lollygagging,
way.
may as well get on with what's left of the main quest. Getting teleported in, and I quickly made my way for father.
Yeah.
For the very first time, I needed to be over him.
He's not
Against
all
my
there
better judgment, I do not begin finger painting the walls with his blood, but rather stay my hands just long enough that I may get the ability to teleport out, although not before meeting the other heads of the divisions, the most important of
I know
which
he's
is
not all there,
Lee.
but like, damn.
If I was smart about this, I could have
Ah! 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 Why are there so many roaches? Why are there so many roaches, babe? Why are there so many roaches? Look at that. I have roaches as friends. Yes, my only friends. Roaches. Yes, yes. Come to my party. Be my roach friends. Yes.
Anywho, with Lee convinced that the ancient sugar only marginally worse than
I have never been to this place before. Oh my god, there's so many!
This now leads us to our main goal.
I think I can walk on those roaches and kill them. That's funny as hell.
Normally, the best and quickest way to go about this is just head on
Love you, Mom!
city and simply buy one from her. Although it has been a while since I ran off and checked out the location that they tell you to search for one, so I figured it could make a fun distraction for a change. It appears I could even send some backup to assist in the retrieval. Sadly, they were in birds, so you know how that story is.
Right. Is she gonna be trying to bother us after we have a kid? With some DCS bullshit? Because if she is, I don't want her anywhere near. Okay. And tell her to stay away from you and your kid. While you're out playing. Maybe. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I am. Who knows? Oh, well maybe we should keep her around. Shit. Bro, if she wants to be our sugar mama, I'll let her.
I think she's taking care of my papa.
The building we need to search with Milton Jet Hospital. The surrounding
I mean, she's texting you being like, hey, your grandpa wants to talk to you. So I'm assuming that she's probably taking care of him, right? That's what I would assume, at least. It's like, hey, this mofo wants to see you. Should probably talk to him or something.
Rather, the interior just had a few aggressive mission families floating around, all of which went down to hits. Doesn't take long to find the magnet, and always.
You know,
which I then returned to the airport.
I feel like in every relationship, not just ours, one side of the family of the relationship is just hated by everybody on the other side.
I get another good guess out of the 90 days
Who's smiling for it? Okay.
I am jumped by just a
I guess.
The full auto spray and pray would have been a
Oh no, I was thinking while I was texting her back.
The semi-autos are
Your
more than
family
capable
is like,
of quickly and efficiently than a flock.
Really nice.
really nice, but my family's like chickens. Like, you know.
They don't give a fuck. They hate everybody equally. Yeah. See, my family's like, you know that rich dude that whatever her name was with, Fiona was with for a while? Yeah, that's like my family, and then your family is her family. Yeah. Which I think that's why sometimes I see you do stuff that's like, what the fuck are you doing? You know? Because it makes me wonder how the fuck you have made it to doing some of the shit you've done. Driving needs work.
My people in my family don't die again.
You know what? That makes sense because your mom's still alive. Your dad's still alive.
all the things from home.
Ethan's mom is still alive somehow, but his dad fucking died. That sucks.
You know, despite being above level 20, the synths on the roof are still all mostly
had 6 heart attacks.
variety. Sea patrols must be of the other.
Oh, L1's my potion. No wonder I couldn't use that.
Once they're dealt with, I grab the codes I need, and then decide to get one.
He's alive.
He has cancer.
That's
All
how I
of it.
get first off the side.
Just all of it?
All of it. Ever since I was like 4.
It seems
He's
my
been
muscle memory
in
kicked
like
in,
2
as I
comas.
appear to have instinctually jumped off the
He's
side of
not,
What in the fuck is your family made of? Are they made of like vibranium or something?
I don't know, but his,
Are they made out of Captain America's shield?
I don't know, but his brother had 2 heart attacks and a pacemaker put in. After his pacemaker put in, he just broke.
So his real heart gave him a bunch of strokes and heart attacks and shit, and then he just dies once they put the artificial heart in him?
Yeah, my papa has a pacemaker. He's still, you know.
Probably barely. Which one? The crazy one or the regular one? Oh, the crazy one's just alive because he's fucking crazy.
No, that's all the crazy one.
Is what, being crazy?
No, all the things I just said about all the heart attacks and...
How's he still alive? I thought you said he died.
No, his brother did.
Oh.
My papa, yeah. My papa Wayne, he just got cholesterol issues.
You know what? You just got cholesterol issues. You're fine. Like everybody else in your family's like over here with like crippling cancer. Just like, I'll be fine, dude. I'm touching death with this pacemaker right here. Let me just stop. Why are there so many roaches? That was 1,000,000 damage. Damn, I'm starting to deal a decent amount of damage. Holy shit. That's crazy. I upgraded my weapon once and I'm doing enough damage to like one-shot most enemies. That's crazy. I still probably have a bunch of skills I haven't used too.
Oh, he got hit by a car. He needs his knee replaced.
He's still alive, though. Damn it, just die already! Bah! I can't keep doing this shit! Next thing you know, he's just like gone.
Yeah.
Like straight up gone.
Including the white-haired boy Wonder here, get transported to Mass Fusion for the 3rd time today. And then, to end things off, I got what I think was a pretty well-timed animation to go along with the explosion of the Institute. And thus proving, yes, you can indeed beat Fallout 4 with finger guns.
Because she had a stroke because my papa
It's an interesting to say the least. Like I said, those finger guns
and so she's out there.
Stronger than I could have imagined. Not that I'm concerned. If anything, it was incredibly refreshing.
She don't live forever.
She has seizures.
Nah, she'll live forever. She got it.
She had to relearn how to walk.
She'll be okay. She's still alive, is she not? You were just talking to her not too long ago. Was it the Gibson at the top of your list?
Yeah.
You talked to her pretty recently, obviously. So she's still very alive.
See, I don't understand. You said 4 and 5.
Maybe you have to have a stroke to understand what she's saying. Or whatever the fuck it was.
Okay, it
That
doesn't
happened
make
to
sense.
her.
So my dad's parents, their last name is Gibson. It was weird when my dad and my mom first got together because her parents' last name is Gibson. And my dad's parents' last name is Gibson. So people were, giving them looks like, hey.
I've never been to this place before in this game.
Let me take you back to a year ago in Kansas, Texas. Today was March 13th, 2023. My most recent video, Skyrim is Emperor Palpatine, is...
What's stopping us from just pulling up to their house?
Because my mom
fairly simple character run revolving around spark stuff. So, on this Monday morning, I think to myself that I should try something a bit more challenging.
So what, she just like go live with somebody else while her grandpa out of town? Oh, that's depressing.
A video about beating New Vegas while
I don't want that to be us.
as well as a video.
One of us traveling all the time and the other one just stuck at home.
But on that day, another idea stood out to me amongst all the rest. Should I beat Fallout 4?
Like fucking what's her name? Like Ethan's grandma. She don't do nothing but sit at the house. Really? They're sisters? Is that why you guys are cousins? Because that's her sister? Like far off cousins anyway. So y'all could fuck and it'd be okay. Just so you know. Fun fact. Anyway, sorry, that's a little weird to say.
It got so bad that after only a few hours, I put the run on hold, went and recorded that Sonic run, and then pretty much tried to forget all about it. However, over the last year and a half, I have found myself thinking about this run.
Woohoo! Give me all of the stuff.
People have also been asking me when I'm going to get around to finishing it, and truthfully, I have been bringing it. So I figured it was time to bite the bullet, go back.
I like how you have 2 pieces of chicken and some mashed potatoes left, and I have mashed potatoes and my regular food left.
So I don't have to start over from scratch. So with all that out of the way, let's finally begin. Starting at the vault entrance as is the norm, and here are my special stats. Nothing too out of the ordinary for a build with little to no way to defend.
Oh, I gave one of my coworkers my phone number. I gave it to Isaiah. If you're wondering who it was.
The rest are split amongst endurance and perception.
So if you see some random ass phone number, text me. It's Isaiah, okay?
Although, looking back on it now, a few points in the charisma wouldn't have been a bad idea to get access to the Lone Wanderer.
Okay, well, he's not on this anymore.
Oh.
Chalk that up as our second mistake. The first, of course, being finding us in the first place. Making it outside, I immediately returned home and used the baby boots to round out my intelligence device.
Ew.
The best idea.
The hell kind of name is that?
On to actually getting the spell drops.
Who the fuck be naming their kid Pete? Pete!
It's that you have access to them right away. Get good. All you have to do is craft them at a chemistry station for 5 skills each. That's not a lot, but as it will soon become apparent, it adds up. I'm jumping ahead. So for now, I spend a solid 10 minutes scrapping literally everything essentially that may give me even a smidgen of steel. After my recycling rampage is over with, I head on over to the chem station to see just how many we can create. After all that, we get just around 100. Although I also noticed the poison variant volume here. These spell traps inflict 5 damage, whereas the poison ones do 7, along with an extra 4 poison to top. So they are literally just better in every single way. The only slight pickup is that they need the chemist part to craft them. Fortunately for us, we can access some of our current packet stats, so after some wooden shelf-based grinding, we reach level 2, take chemist, make just over 100 poison spell traps, and in the process, level up again, as we of course get even more XP from all that crafting.
No, I have
This time the point goes into toughness.
Third?
This daily dual action build into description strength development for longer lasting erections and to help you feel younger, stronger, and more energized. What's thick to naturally support your testosterone.
What these pictures about?
100% online.
You took
So you can enjoy convenience with discretion.
Did I?
See my
When?
70% of users report having more spontaneous intimacy with their new treatment.
When?
Keep your edge back with ED plus testosterone support.
I don't remember that.
At Hills.com.
Dude, how fucked up have I been these past, like, couple weeks?
Build a website you love with Wix.
I was gonna sit there like.
For your words, create your brand, your opportunity, your
Oh, she
breakthrough.
lives in Georgia.
I'll just send her this.
Feeling a vibe? Run with it.
No.
From can't look away to
If you can see the video, she's not gonna, like, blow up from looking at a video, is she?
bring out what's hot, remove what's not.
Just because you probably don't like that picture, you should send it.
Is set a tone that speaks in your voice to your audience. Keep moving. Your site grows with you. Add solutions that meet you where you
For, like,
will take you where you want to go. Smooth to make,
Did you know that?
You can set that up.
Why? With the caltrops in hand, I finally set off to get the ball rolling, when I end up stopping almost immediately at the Red Rocket truck stop to, what else, drop and drop more caltrops.
Maybe they didn't expect you to text back.
No.
Because you never text anybody from your family back for whatever reason.
But to be blunt, I don't think it's too far.
Now, granted, I'm kind of the same. I only text my close family members that are like
trying to stay popped up on steel
living.
The inevitable restocking of big weapons. I suppose if there's any kind of good thing to look forward to in all of this, it's that at least I won't have to worry about leveling, as frankly, the amount of XP I'm getting from making all of these caltrops, thanks to my 10 intelligence,
Intractable mantle.
I've procrastinated long enough. It was time to finally test these bad boys out.
I need about like one.
Goes without saying, but the enemies will need to stop.
Okay, you can go take it to,
So perhaps making my first target of choice
kitchen, if you want to.
insects wasn't exactly the best idea. Sure enough, they can't just fly over them, as while they are technically...
Yeah, and then 10 minutes later, you're going to be in the bathroom puking it all up, and you're not going to tell me.
On the bright side, at least,
and then you're going to try and act like you didn't throw it all up.
Enemy before hitting the ground, then they will still inflict the damage, which is good, as it's the only way I'm able to exterminate these bloodbugs.
Yeah.
The poison is more like a bleed effect.
Go take it back
it's
to
not something that just ticks down slowly over time continuously, but rather
Love
a quick little bit of extra damage.
But I'm not stupid.
By the health bar draining and death disappearing. Honestly, a more traditional poison effect that lasted longer, but took perhaps a few more hits from the caltrop to proc, would have unironically made this a much more doable experience. As it stands, I'm just going to be handing these out like Christmas presents to any and all who accept them. Sure, for now the damage is respectable, that's what damage you get, but the more I level and the further I get into the main story, I'm sure this is going to become less so. The raiders are manageable for now. The ones outside of Concord barely have a brain cell to share between them. Although their melee fighters seem more likely to avoid the caltrops that actually manage to find their way to the ground as opposed to their bodies. Don't know if that's something I'll have to work around, or if I just need to keep doing what I'm doing and tossing these things at point-blank range. Despite still having over 100 of them on my person, I was already trying my best to minimize how many would need to be discarded per combat encounter. Essentially, I am throwing, waiting for the poison effect to finish, and then tossing my next one, as opposed to just smacking them out of my hand at a breakneck pace, like I'm trying to make it heal. Also, in case you're wondering, I tried every now and then to set the caltrops up in choke points in hopes that someone would run into them, but more often than not, it just resulted in wasted resources. You see, on top of every other wonderful thing about these caltrops, you can't even pick them up after you mess with them. So, you can disarm a landmine, but you can't pick up slightly dirty jacks off the side of the road. What is your damage, Nathaniel? Well, the sort of power armor we can have after the initial wave are dealt with certainly helps for stalling out the second set of raiders. Again, a high defense is about all I can hope for. The caltrops kill, but it takes so long, it's very quickly going to be about outlasting a war of attrition, as opposed to just making some cracked build that one-shots most enemies. We get a nice taste of that right away when the Deathclaw decides to come out to play.
How's your food? Is it
I'm
good?
aware I am in for a bad time.
I haven't finished it yet, but
takes
yes.
a few more drops to the face than I would have liked. Goes down, mind you, but it should put the process of dealing with the Deathclaw into perspective. The best bet that I have with this fight lasting less than 30 minutes is trying to leave as many of the raiders alive as possible so they can chip away at his health. Preston also likes to get
What?
from time to time, but relying on that is like putting all of my money on Shadowheart to consistently land attacks and beat.
Well, it's because they knew your mom before all the bad stuff.
But I feel like those jokes come a little too
And they see the good in her that was in her before she did all the drugs and shit, and they're like, man, you look a lot like your mom.
As for at least this fight, I was trying to get in some hits where I could. The smartest strategy would be to sit in one of the buildings.
What'd she say about me?
When I got close, in the hopes of eventually
Just completely ignored the fact that I was in the picture at all and just complimented you, probably.
However, this time he had different plans. Mainly, he was going to just swoosh.
Send the other one back to me. Yeah, that's funny as hell.
But for a moment, it seemed like a golden opportunity. If it was trapped inside...
She just completely ignored the fact that I was even in there. Okay, thanks, I guess.
Sadly, those hopes were dashed almost instantly as it...
Your family is so nice.
Back out into the main road. It seems that more
Didn't say anything back, though. Damn, alright.
They can easily use them in one direction, but turn the tables, and suddenly they are in a world of confusion. It was around this time many of the other raiders who were taking shots
Boyfriend? Yeah, no, actually, fiance, bitch. I will kill you and everything you stand for.
That short story
This is
ends
my
exactly how you would have
I
seen it.
know.
Shall we just cut to the chase? So, the rest
That nice lady texting you?
No, that's Sandy.
Oh, well, I will kill her and
This is
everything she
Happy.
stands.
They were in Ottawa.
Colorado? Cholera? That's a really bad disease.
I legit moved to another building later in the fight just for a change of scene. I'm not even bullshitting. It's bad. The full slog lasts 10 minutes, although it certainly felt much longer.
So where's all that money going when they die? Back into the government, I guess? That's fucking depressing, dude. Watch them, like, give it all to you or something. You know how crazy that would be?
First things first, I head back to Red Rocket to go underneath the building and grab the fusion core, the one from
Because when my
dead,
mom
and I kind of like my tin
Judy
suit.
died.
I also spent some time scrapping whatever
My
survived the
papa was in
Calcraft
the
in
will,
87
right?
in the hopes of getting
So
enough fuel to
Sandy
repair
back
the
then
system.
was the greedy
It
bitch.
kind of works, although I end up just
Greedy.
bartering for the
Even though
rest
she's
when I meet
already
Carla,
loaded,
seeing how she's all
my
logistics
papa was
at the
supposed to
time.
get half of the
Thanks to looting
inheritance.
every single thing I could get my hands on and conquered, I was just able to afford the shipment of steel from Carla to craft what else
He was
but
supposed to
more
get some of
Caltrops.
her ashes.
Didn't mention it,
No.
but yes, by the time I was
Sandy
done with
had
the
them
death
all.
claw, we had less than 20 left. I'm going
That
to
sounds
really
about right.
stock up of
I
eliminating
gotta
it through longer
read.
battles later in the run.
That you didn't get.
No, I got it.
Combat tax
Oh, you
for
got
no
it?
reason
I got it
other
when
than
she
I want the
died.
XP
And
rewards
it
from
was
this
being
quest,
put up
and
by
I
my
wasn't
papa.
entirely against the
But
idea of using the
my
Calcraft to
mom
solve every problem at this
sold
point.
it.
That said,
It
I
was
may want to
real
rethink
diamonds,
that,
and it
given
was
that I was
so
already
many
deciding to
carats in
hard
it.
lock on what faction to side with. It's the Minutemen, and I will now explain why.
It's crazy, because you probably could have used money from
Last I
that.
repeat myself for another 5 minutes.
Your mom was just
The
like,
Minutemen
Because
are
it
the
was like-
fastest
I want
to ban.
drugs.
You can finish
Yeah,
the
'cause
game
it was
almost
like
the
a
second
way
you
to
set foot in the
like
Institute,
pass it
assuming you
down.
have recruited enough settlements before that stage, and then declare the Institute for
Someone
enemy.
else has it.
Sure,
Yeah.
you then need to go through with defending the castle, but I will take that over the alternatives.
So, I mean,
The
you're
Brotherhood,
hearing that shit kind of makes sense, because your family's like fucking dog shit sometimes. And it makes me want to kill them.
No, thank you. The Institute, fighting the entire Brotherhood force at the airport. Need I say more? And sure, you could do the cheese method with the real.
Need I say more?
Take out the Goodwin, and then heal the last possible
I was talking about the dude on TV. He said, need I say more?
But that's
So,
still
need I say more?
me to take out a not so small detachment at the police station, as well as all of those inside the old North Church during the raid. And that last paragraph also doubles as why we are not going down the railroad side of things, obviously. I also don't like them, and personal preference is important after all. You are probably all wondering, well, what about fighting the Mirelurk Queen? And you are right, I'm sure that's going to be a problem. But you see, as of the time of writing this, I haven't recorded that fight yet, so we shall find out together. Anyway, back to the task at hand. As you saw, I cleared out Corbega and Olivia to get 10 points block and Avenatti's farm settlements, as well as dealing with the ghouls at Sunshine Tidings to bring that into the fold also. From the Corbega assembly plant, I decided to start heading south for
Fucking crack up my
all it's essential for the main quest, plus have some good vendors who will hopefully provide me with more steel.
I know my mom hates to see me coming.
Start your day with cultural digestive daily
I mean, you gotta.
It works naturally with your body to support digestion and immune defenses.
At least it wasn't the charger port.
Cultural probiotic. Every day, every body.
Okay.
Not much happens on the way. Ran past a few ghouls in Cambridge. Don't gain much from fighting them. Really, all I do is lose more Caltrop than fighting. I'm sure Dennis can handle them himself. Besides, I end up using a good chunk of them anyway, not 2 minutes later, as I decide to stop off at Hyman's Alley to add yet another settlement to our list. The raiders are now mostly all scum and psychos. Well, they always were little scum, but I mean, that's
A what?
Which means, guessed it, they take more Caltrop to put down, and deal a good bit more damage in turn.
I say what I say.
I'm also only wearing a car frame with a damaged helmet, so that's definitely a factor in the recruits that I build. Luckily, Hyman's Alley is pretty crammed with a lot of small structures in and around it, so we have a lot of cover to work with during the shootout. Circling around one of the makeshift buildings and tossing to my heart's content was an oddly effective way of slowly draining them. Once more, I tried setting the power traps up in areas they could make a walk over. Still faster to just chuck them at them in close quarters, but at least, unlike in the museum, they did step on this time. It's the little victories that will get me through this. Once I'm done, I'm back to under 100 more. But at least we have a new settlement. Don't never remember exactly how many numbers we triggered a minute in the finale, but I feel like it's either 7 or 9. Regardless, you know the drill. Drop and more caltrops. Level 10 now as well, if you want to know what that's looking like, here we are. Mostly just more defense first, like I said, although I took a few levels bumping up my luck. Figured I maybe with a squeak even get add more damage out of this if I get the weakness. Getting mildly distracted, I halt my journey to the big city to help Preston some more. This time it's up to the start of the driving. Thankfully, this one is always just mole rats, and they have such a little health that, for once, I have nothing negative to say about a combat method. In fact, it's actually kind of good. I can skin them and then take their meat to cook up for some effective healing supplies later. Once we take all the steel from here, we are back up to 243 floating caltrops. Someone count how many times I say the word caltrops in the video. I'll pin the first comment that figures it out. Anyway, my next minute-long quest is for the station. It's kind of on the way to Diamond City, so I head over there. They want me to clear a guild over in College Square. Guilds are kind of a pain in the ass to fight. So I ended up foregoing that for now, and instead briefly marked Diamond City before making quite the detour of running over to the Adamcast garage. Long story short, the plan was to pickpocket the fusion cores out of one of their suits and then take it for myself, as they are much better than my rough. Sadly, I lacked the skill to do so the trip was ultimately pointless. Who knows? Into use for them later. Oddly enough, there was a empty suit just sitting out in the open, but for whatever reason, there was just no way for me to get inside it. It's like it's haunting me, and frankly, I think that's mean. Nothing much can be done about it, I'm afraid, so I just fixed up my own armor and then made the decision to go and free Nick. I felt like 200 plus drops should be enough to get past the mandatory triggerman in the vault. To put things into perspective, it takes almost 40 of them to just kill the handful in the entryway before we even get down to the platform, let alone the vault itself. Yet, come as no surprise, I dart past every single triggerman I lay eyes on. Carl comes in clutch once again to keep me alive. Don't really know how doable this would be without it, or realistically, how much of my sanity would still be in check after the fact. The other saving grace ends up being Nick himself. Not in the sense of him helping fight off the triggerman, at least yet, but rather, when I rush into the room where you free him, I was expecting I only need to deal with Dana. Unfortunately, a large number of goons also followed me into the room, and as it turns out, Nick won't even converse with you until they're all dead. Now, the reason as to why this saves us, simple. The triggermen are incredibly racist and absolutely despise sense. It's the only explanation I can come up with, as whenever I opened the door to the Overseer's office, where they were keeping Valentine, they all proceed to just ignore me and focus fire on him. Sure, he would go down after he took enough damage, but it wouldn't be very long before he popped it right back up and started to draw aggro all over again. This was the perfect distraction for me to carefully take out the others while they were very busy with the dismantling. A few of them would eventually shift their focus over to little old me and my tic-tacs of doom, but by the time they did, victory was already at hand. I got a slightly more aggressive line of dialogue from Nick for once whenever I first approached him. Can't really blame him, he was getting used as a punching bag for the last 5 minutes. I do level up around here again, and now I take the Bloody Mess part to see some extra damage. It's not a lot, in fact it's just the physical damage that goes up by 1 point. But I like to think that that will make all the difference. It's back to unavoidable fighting again, as once more we'll need Nick to pick some of the impossible locks, which he of course will not do until all of the enemies are cleared. Just like our first meeting, he helps to keep the majority of the triggermen distracted, while I slowly, very slowly, pick them off one at a time. At least though Nick is sentient enough now to return fire. Granted, I wish he had something that's a little stronger than a pipe revolver, but I'll just shut up now as I am in no position to critique somebody else on their ineffective weaponry. Skinny Malone wasn't much tougher than his man, so not many problems there. I just focused Darla, her aggressive nature to instantly charge the player, makes her rather susceptible to stepping on multiple caltrops in quick succession. By the time I dealt with her, Nick was able to take out one of the nameless thugs and do a bit of damage to the other, and Skinny himself. With Nick uncovering fire, I was able to just keep running forward and back and tossing more caltrops through the doorway. The small spread when you throw them also allowed for me to hit both of them with a single volley. But long before they're finished, we leave Nick to safety and inform him we shall meet him later, as right now we have some unfinished business to take care of. It's just the fool is a solid square. I don't know why I wrote that like it was some sort of secret thing I was planning. Anyway, I may have been overreacting slightly when I mentioned the ghouls before, because, frankly, these ones I was sent to whack down in the station were easy as all hell to put in their place. Or maybe they just felt that way after wasting most of my resources on the trigger. Honestly, hard to tell. No matter, they go down, I return to Oberlin, and then Preston, who informs me it's time to meet at the castle. Fabulous. So, I had a choice to make now. Either retake the castle and fight the Marlow Queen, or head on over to Fort Hagen and attempt to deal with Kellogg. One of those options sounds vastly easier than the other, so it comes as no shock where I'm now. On the way, I was reading up about the Caltraps in case there was any strats I could recommend. Someone mentioned you can reverse pickpocket them on the people and it will cause the poison effect to be applied permanently and instantly kill them silently. Well, I had nothing to lose, so it was back to the Atom Cats to see if this idea would work. After all, I don't need a power for him, or myself, so I can just tear that off the set for him, which I should be able to swipe if they're dead. Well, I managed to successfully reverse pickpocket on my first attempt, but sadly, once more, the Atom Cats are seemingly in a league of their own, as it just did not work. I could try and fight them, but I feel it's pretty clear that would be a death sentence on my part. To be honest, if things keep going the way they are, I'm gonna end up hitting a high enough level that I'll probably just be able to find a much better suit of power armor out randomly in the wastes. So, brief restock, then it's off to Kellogg, and let's just say that collecting of steel wasn't the only thing that we should be keeping brief. I thought that I could just rush to Kellogg and finish off him and his two synth bodyguards and be out of there lickety-split. But, as it turns out, once you're inside the zone where Kellogg is, if you do not take out all of the synths on the way to him, they will all spring to his aid when the fight begins. See, I thought that when you got to the room at the bed and held you that the synths will now stand down, that would deal with all of them, bar the two in the room. Of course, as I know, yes. With a small army of synths trying to kill me along with Kellogg constantly shooting and pursuing me, this is a fight I cannot win with my current number of Caltraps. Kellogg, by the way, has more health than he lets on, as he will heal himself throughout the fight, and shocking no one, that is damage I cannot mitigate. This meant I would need to painstakingly take out every synth on this level before I even thought about trying to fight Kellogg. More than likely resulting in multiple back and forth trips for healing supplies and of course vendor refreshes for steel. Thinking about all of this, and this was the exact moment where I initially just put the run down and shifted to the oh so lovable Sonic mode. I even found some early footage of me testing it for the first time. Now, fast forwarding over a year and a half to October 2024, and here I am once again, attempting this slog of a run. In the time that I have been away from this run, though, I have learned about the duplication glitch which I used in my Palomol run. Now, perhaps it's because I am stubborn, or truly do hate myself, but I decided to not use that glitch, as the way I saw it was that when I started this run, I did not know about it. So, in a weird way, it almost felt cheap, I guess, is the best way to put it, to leave for so long and then just use an exploit to finish the fight. So instead, I loaded back to just before I went to face Kellogg, and began experimenting different ways to get caps fast in the hopes of buying as much steel as feasibly possible. I tried a couple of different methods. The two main ones both involve the settlement building, because if you know what you're doing, it can become a ridiculously lucrative way to just bring in caps. My first thought was building water tanks, sleeping, and then selling the purified water.
Going right at once. Pre-order now.
Also, for the first time in my life, used the animal cages to kidnap some Brahmin, so I may set up a small fertilizer production line so that I could then craft jet and by extension jet fuel, which I could sell for a profit. Again, both methods can bring in caps by the thousands, assuming you have the right skills, production, settlements, and most importantly, patience. Not. Well, what I mean is I was able to get a somewhat steady supply, but not all at once. So basically, I would get enough water and drugs to sell for a couple of steel shipments, make a decent amount of poison caltrops, and then have to wait a few Indian days plus some real time to get more product to sell for more steel. After about an hour or so of doing this, I managed to craft just over 500 poison caltrops. That said, this was not for the Kellogg fight, but rather I met back up with Preston and the world's smallest army to take back the castle.
Baby, will
I
you
had
go
the
shut the
Minutemen
door
set up a
all the
fire
way?
line while I
Because I
got
just
the
heard
intel
them open the
crustacean
door.
swarms and started laying down the business. For possibly the only time in this run, I was frankly quite surprised by how seemingly effective the caltrops were. Maybe it's just because they're green, but I assumed the Mirelurks would have a high resistance to poison damage. Honestly, just glad to be wrong. Not going to pretend like the Minutemen and Preston aren't doing 90% of the work right now. This is even more apparent when the Queen shows up. I had zero illusions about this encounter. There was no way in hell I was going to be the main threat. The best I could do was run as a distraction every few minutes by tickling its legs and dealing with upwards. I mean, I was more than happy for her to keep tossing kids at me, as after all, each one of them was a source of meat. That, when cooked, would be a surprisingly good substitute for Stimpaks.
Hello.
The plan for this was for me just to play the waiting game. This would cause Preston on one of the other minutes.
Should have never turned it off.
Yes, well, the Queen ain't knocked them out in a single hit. They would end up just hopping back up in about 10 seconds, land a few more shots, and then just repeat the cycle ad nauseum until they committed crowd regicide. Due to them doing such a great job, I just spend most of my time in the interior section of the castle. Again, this turned out to be an oddly sound strategy, as I could just get the Queen's attention, sit there, occasionally throwing caltrops at her, while the other two continued to whittle her down with bug bites. It worked so well, in fact, that after about only 2 minutes of this, we were able to finally be rid of the Mirelurks. I obviously do not get the XP for dealing with the Queen, but that's alright. I honestly get way more than enough just crafting caltrops that I really don't miss much from other sources. Once that's over with, I set up the radio tower, finish the quest, and then start listening to the radio so I'll be notified as soon as possible once Ronnie Shaw appears. Also, in case you are wondering, I have 386 caltrops left after taking back the castle, so that's pretty good. Seems like a good time, so back to Fort Hagen to try my luck. Before, I mentioned that if you round by all of the synths, they would come to Halo's aid during the fight. Well, turns out that's not entirely true. It's just those few synths that are near his home that will intervene, so this time I took the time to deal with them first. Sure, it's eating into my caltrop supplies, but it kind of failed. When I make it to Kellogg, I start by focusing down the synths first. Figured I'll have a better chance of surviving if they're also not trying to beat me down for a real deal. Thankfully, I have a good chunk of healing supplies as well, so I'm in no fear of prematurely dying, or just a mental fight of patience and tediousness. There's a single silver lining to fighting the synths, I suppose, and that's the fact that if they step on enough caltrops, one of their legs might just pop off, rendering them incapable of moving for the rest of the fight. If that just so happens to take place in an area where they're out of the way, then even better, as I can just focus on Kellogg and the second synth, as there is no way for them to raise their legs. Before long, a similar fate befalls synth number 2, and now it's on to the war of attrition with the man himself. It is a lot of circling around the old computer desk, either trying to leave traps from the run over, or carefully tossing them at the right angle so they get stuck in his big bald chrome dome while he attempts to hide his cover. It became apparent very quickly that despite having over 100 of them still left to go, that it wasn't going to be enough to take out Kellogg. I had actually hoped that he would hurt himself with one of his grenades that he occasionally uses throughout the fight, and at one stage I did manage to body block one causing him to drop out of his feet, or at least push him up. Sadly, they seemingly do zero damage to him, so that plan was out the window. By the time I had only 50 caltrops left, I managed to drop him to half, but of course he then used the stim pack, so I was without a doubt not going to beat him this time. I simply do not output enough damage to offset that healing. You all may have noticed by now that Kellogg also doesn't take a single drop of poison damage either, most likely due to their implants. So I can't even rely on the slower and steadier approach of throw some caltrops, wait for the full poison damage to kick down, and then throw my set. I basically just have to keep tossing them at him repeatedly. The only plan I had to offset the healing was maybe toss a massive quantity of caltrops down in a single area, and then have him walk into them, and hopefully inflict enough damage at once to out-kill him. So there's a little known trick if you're doing this on survival, that if you don't have a fat man, you can just walk around behind Kellogg to this exact position, and lay down a bunch of landmines, because as soon as the fight begins, every time, without fail, Kellogg will back away from you to find cover, so he will then walk into the mines and be one-shot. So I tried this, except the caltrops, and made a very unfortunate discovery. Turns out, while yes, he will step back into them, he only takes damage if he steps into one of them. However, this also sets off a strange chain reaction and causes all the other caltrops to act like they were stood on, and then they all disappear. So, I cannot pickpocket them off him for time kills, I can't pile them up for chain reaction kills, and I seemingly can't just kill him slowly over time with him, because not only does he have poison, but no matter what, he just keeps healing himself when he drops full time. I could have abandoned the run again because it wasn't painfully obvious. I am not really enjoying myself due to how tedious this has become. But I also did not want this run hanging over me again and going into another year. In the end, I said to hell with it, run's a failure, and just blew Kellogg up with a platform. But I then continued on just to see how the rest of the game would play out if I was able to get it. Hey, so future nervous back again. When I was editing this together, my curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to go back and give it another try. The only thing I did differently was drop the difficulty down to very easy. Now, I don't know if that affects his AI in some way, or simply gives him less stim packs to work with, but regardless, it worked, and after another long and grueling battle, I was actually able to beat Kellogg this time. So, while not technically part of the run for this video, you can seemingly beat Kellogg with caltrops. So that's neat. Anyway, back to the actual run. I say we will continue on, but truthfully, I can't really think of any other encounters bar one that would pose a problem, but I suppose we shall get to that shortly. I get the chip and tell Nick to meet me in Good Neighbor, but I also noticed during our exchange that my armor is in desperate need of repairs. Not wanting to waste steel fixing up my basic T-45, I tried heading back to the Atom Cats, and lo and behold, for some goddamn reason, now, not only can I interact with that T-60 suit that was just randomly sitting there, but I can also use the poison caltrop pickpocket trick, and it actually works how it's supposed to. Maybe the next gen patch that came out between the first recording and this one fixed this somehow for me. I honestly have no idea, but frankly, I do not care, as it has gotten me a shiny new Guy Fieri-inspired suit of power armor, and I'm all for it. There's a lot of busy work after this, such as making more cams, buying more steel to make caltrops, the memory dance segment, and then sending any companions I manage to scrounge up to the castle, so that they'll be there to aid in the defense near the end. I also sprinted through the glowing sea to meet Virgil, as I saw no benefit in attempting to fight another death claw. One was more than enough, plus the Courser was up next, and I wanted to save as many caltrops as possible. Speaking of, I also had a contingency plan at this time, that being getting hotboxed with Mama Murphy, so she'll tell me the Courser's reset code. Turns out I wouldn't need it, actually, and here's why. Naturally, just like the glowing sea, I chose to avoid all of the enemies on the way to my destination at the top of Green Tech. Now, I know for a fact that you can pickpocket the Courser, as I have done it before in one of my casual runs. With that in mind, the plan was to make use of the stealth boy I got, so I could sneak up behind him and then plant a poison caltrap on him to instantly win the fight. The tricky part is that the Courser sees you almost immediately, and if he sucks you in the dialogue, you won't be able to pickpocket him, and any attempt to end the conversation early starts the fight regardless.
Performing on the biggest stage in the world is just one step in the journey. Hi, I'm Imma, and I teach people all over the world how to dance with the on the board. Our person is going to really manage and unfortunately, amazing qualities in the book. I specialize in motivators to build my business and make fun of people. That's something that makes me super.
El nuevo menú de Popeyes Hot Ones tiene algo para los curiosos, los que disfrutan lo picante y los verdaderos players del picante. Atrévete con el menú de Popeyes Hot Ones. Amo el pollo de Popeyes.
By ingesting some buckshit that I was able to craft during my Breaking Bad phase, I managed to slow down time just long enough that I could circle around to the far side of the room and plant the caltrops on his person. Well, it was almost all for nothing, as once again, like before, they seemingly do not work at instantly taking out the Courser. Now, I would be much more enraged by this. However, I was able to spike his stim packs, so if for nothing else, I only need to go through a single health bar of his, unlike cornflakes. That said, I was prepared for another slog of cat and mouse, but oddly enough, it wasn't really that. Like, every time I threw some and he got hit, I would just take a few steps forwards towards him, he'd back up a little, I would throw some more, and then so on and so forth. Doing this, I was eventually able to pack him into the storeroom. The front space left him nowhere to run, allowing me to just hang his zone out of engage for heal, all the while covering the floor with spikes that he was powerless to avoid. Much like his synth brothers, the Courser also falls to the floor after sustaining enough leg trauma, and due to me taking his stim packs, he has no way to fix them. This allowed me to squeeze in behind him outside of his line of sight, and because I guess he is too proud to do a little butt shuffling on the floor, he will not turn around and face me, meaning I am free to let it heal once more until the Courser is ready to distract me. I then, of course, head over to the Old North Church, and through teeth gritted so hard that I am surprised they did not shatter, I asked the railroad for help in decoding the chip. Thank them for their service, and then leave. That right there was the real part. I was just about to go and have Sturgis construct the teleporter, but then I finally got the notification to meet with Ronnie Shaw at the castle, so I figured I'd quickly run through that run. Not much to say other than how the fight started with. Bottom line, I would have been made mincemeat in seconds if it wasn't for the T60. That suit is the only reason I was able to survive his never-ending onslaught. The whole ordeal is rather similar to the fight with the Mireless Queen, only this time I was playing peekaboo to Sarge around the pillar in the center of the room. By doing this, and occasionally throwing Calcraft at Sarge to keep his attention on me, Ronnie was able to launch a pistol laser musket to finish the fight. As a bonus, I then got some more fusion cores from his corpse for my power. After, I went through with the building of the artillery, and once that was over with, restocked, built the teleporter, and then had the longest fight with Father, by which I mean he did not die in a hit like usual, but rather had to unceremoniously trip on a few Calcrafts to his timely death. I then leave how I got in, return to Preston, only to be informed that I don't have enough settlements to strike back against Trip. Well, I had a quest for County Crossing to rescue a hostage from Backstreet Apparel. Thankfully, you don't have to clear out the building for that one. All you must do is interact with the hostage, and that completes the task. That said, I did take out a few of the ones for present in the first room. Simply put, it was refreshing to fight someone who didn't take upwards of 5 minutes to kill. Anyway, the day saved for County Crossing, but that was still not enough, so it was off to Grey Garden. I picked them specifically because while their quest may seem rather daunting, what all the super mutants and Mirelurks, in actuality, all you have to do is get the water pumps working again. The robots here do not give a rat's ass about whether you deal with threats or not. This is kind of the problem with doing absurdly weak weapon runs like this. If the weapon, or weapons in question, inflicts so little damage that every single mundane fight becomes a seemingly never-ending slog, then there is almost no reason to waste your resources, and it is in fact more beneficial to just move on. And to move on we shall, it's finally time to defend the castle. I have a few companions here along with whatever turret I was able to find and build with the resources left in the armory. I get my hands dirty periodically throughout the fight, but my contributions are minimal at best. Eventually, everybody goes down, and I'm all that's left. Thankfully, I know a little trick that I remember using all the way back in the Apollo 4 the group video. If I go into the underground section of the castle, which has me go through a loading screen and then return, everybody will be back on their feet. This time, though, as I make my way inside, a few porters and synths follow suit, so I instead opt to run through the underground section entirely, and instead re-emerge inside the armory after Sarge. Well, doing so not only resurrects my fallen allies' plan, but it seems to have done something to the synth invasion force, as I watched the mission objectives and immediately informed me that we have defeated 80, 90, and then 100% of the synths. Did not expect that, but I will take all of the assistance I can get at this stage. Once the forces are driven off, it's on to the final assault on its two. Not to be anticlimactic, but I used all of my Calcraft pretty early on into the fighting in the main room, so I rushed my way there as soon as we entered, as it's the only area you need to clear. I kind of then just ran in circles for a bit while Presto and the ever-spawning Minutemen would have stopped with the synths. After that, it was a straight shot to slapping the pulse charge on the generator, and then hightailing it back to Preston. All the while, the power armor proved to be the MVP once more. We get teleported out, I mash the A button as fast as feasibly possible, ending the game and proving no, you cannot beat Fallout 4 with only Calcraft. This is now the part where I give my thoughts on the run, right? Only one feeling really comes to mind. It's over! Bottom line, question people are probably gonna ask. I'd say, should I attempt this? The answer will be no.
I mean, look at the PC, the quality components, and kind of maintain price on that PCs have exactly that. We're gamers too, so we get how important it is to have 200 plus frames on the screen. But your kind of PCs, more PCs built using highest quality parts by experienced builders like me. And of course, we stress test and benchmark every PC so that when it shows up, you're ready to plug and play. And the best part is, our gaming PCs don't break the bank. And you're looking for something more custom. You can use a configurator on a website, configure your PC from the ground up, just how you want it, and you're just thinking. We even have options for custom face prints, back plates, or fully waterproof plates if that's your thing. So check us out right now at MetaPC.com and get your dream pieces specific.
So after the whole fiasco and constant delays of our Bloodborne video from the other week, which, by the way, I want to thank you all so much for support, I want to do something a little simpler for concept, for my sanity, for the recording. I figured it's been a while since I did a next fun New Vegas weapon restricted run, so with that in mind, it was just a matter of deciding on what to use. These tend to be more interesting when it revolves around the weapon I've never used before, being an actual simpleton who rarely uses firearms in New Vegas. That leaves a lot of options. So, with that in mind, today we're going to figure out, can you beat Fallout New Vegas with only pew-pews? It's been a while since I've done the whole announce the title of the run in the video bit, hasn't it? For those of you who are unaware, pew-pew is a unique laser pistol that is the reward for completing the Legend of the Star quest. You know, the annoying fetch quest for the 50 blue star bottle caps? The one that most people don't even bother doing once due to how tedious it can be? That means, before we can even truly start the run, I am going to need to run across the entire Mojave, ping-ponging from location to location, until I have enough stars to be able to get to the weapon, and therefore defend myself. If there's one saving grace about any of this, it's that most of the caps are found in areas without any enemies. Plus, this will be the third time I have done this quest in the time of the year, so I kinda have most of the locations memorized for the week. I'll get into the finer details of the weapon and creating my build, and when I actually get to that point. Oh, and the bonus rule for me, just for fun, I decide to limit most of my healing to just drinking Sunset Sarsaparilla. Why? Well, the quest and weapon are heavily tied to it, so I figured it would be funny. I'll probably still use Doctor's Bag for pure limbs, though. That way we aren't left with the concussion blow for the entire run whenever I inevitably get slapped upside the head. Now, while out of the way, let's begin. The character name is Brock, for Pokemon. Why? Well, he's from Pewter City, so it seemed appropriate. That doesn't mean I even tried to make my character look like him, though. For specials, it was a high intelligence, agility, and luck level, with a normal perception stat and a slightly higher skill. Intelligence for more skill points as per usual, just tried to fair. As for agility and luck, well, Q2 can only fire 2 shots before it can be reloaded, in other words, it Q2s once before it can Q2 again. This means I will be spending most of my time reloading the gun, so a higher ability to speed up reload time would be an absolute godsend. Luck is rather self-explanatory as well. If it crits, it does 2.5 times its damage, so having a higher chance of doing that seems like a no-brainer. Endurance is for health, obviously, and Perception gives a very slight boost to energy weapons for every point invested in it, so it can stay at this. High skills continue to trade and being rather obvious. Energy weapons for damage, survival because it can use some great perks, and then finally the sneak skill. Simply due to the fact that I won't be able to defend myself until I get 50 with star bottle caps.
So many rats.
Fighters seems like a good idea.
Go get them, rats!
Built to destroy for extra crit chance was probably the way to go, but no way. I drop everything that would be important upon you for having a different edition, and then I begin to search for scouts. On the bright side, we are off to a great start, as 2 of them can already be finding good springs. Both in the seemingly unimportant houses that you would have more of a reason to investigate, other than sheer curiosity. Future Herbert, put a start capsule on the screen so people can get lost. Yes. There's a third one very close by against that guy, likely the first one most people prefer, so we grab it next. There are some in the direction of the Mojave coast and by Prim, but for the time I'm going to go via Sloan, the Black Mountain shortcut, to get some of the others that I know about. Plus, it also helps that I'll be marking helpful locations for later on and reaping the rewards of the XP from finding said location. On my way up the road, I get a set of leather armor from one of Windows' dead friends, fix the generator, heal up Snuffles, and then grab cap number 4 from the mess hall for Sloan. I should note I'm also stealing any and all sarsaparilla I can get my grubby little hands on, partially for healing, and partially for the fact that with each one consumed, there is a very slight chance that I will get a star cap from the troubles. I played the old trick of walking up to Chance from outside of his field of view, making him think I just came from Vegas. I then mark Hidden Valley for later, meet Neil, and then proceed through the Black Mountain shortcut. I walk head first into the boulder for some baffling reason, and all things considered, I'm doing pretty well. I decided to have my first drink to ease up a little bit, and wouldn't you know it, I get a star cap for my troubles. Our first stop once we make it through is the Red Hot building. Sure, exploring the place is rather tedious, given that I'll need to take a sure as I lack the lockpicking and science skills to bypass any of the doors. But on the bright side, doing so, we can get 5 more caps from this building alone. They are split up amongst the multiple floors, but thankfully I grabbed the key card so I never have to worry about them sticking the sentry box on. I also used the key in the record floors to sneak my way down into the rooms and modulator. It will be worth a lot of money, sure, but what we are really here for is all the micro-fusions. If we take these back to a workbench, we'll be able to convert them into energy cells for Q2. Up next was the 188 trading post. Sure, another cap is a fine addition, but I also get lucky enough that the arms merchant is selling grade 4 leather. Assuming I want to go down the road of optimized script build, that's kind of not set for the rest of the run armor. Just down the road and through the city, which gets us 15 FP to reach level 2, where I dump everything into Sneak, and then take Swift Learner to offset the drawback from skills. The big point saloon coming. Being real, houses past number 12. Now that my sneak skills are respectable level, I engage in the next stage of my master plan. I begin waiting. You all know what he of course warned us about other collectors and that he himself stopped trying for the 5 years ago. Well, that doesn't mean he is hapless, far from it. In fact, he has sifted him on his person. Of course, we cannot murder him for it, no matter how much we may wish to. And now the second reason for tagging Sneak becomes very clear. Once he comes back, I'm able to sneak down and swipe the 6 caps without him being any the wiser. And you'd be correct to assume this means we can also steal the Star Cap necklace from Thomas just outside Nipton.
Oh shit!
And as such,
Some just did a whole lot of damage to me all at once. And I think it might have been the rats. I think it might have actually been the fucking rats. Because they run away and go off screen and fucking shoot you from off the screen. It's stupid.
On the right side, going down towards Prim opens up more Star Caps on the way.
I'm trying to get something called Kanai's Cube.
And then yet another from the middle.
So I can get legendary effects without having to have the legendary equipped. So I can put better armor and stuff on.
It's about one of the only quests I can do right now.
Like, there's one that turns gold earned into XP. Instead of it just being gold. It's XP now. You get gold and XP from picking it up. It's either equal to or slightly over, or slightly more XP, I believe. But items that give you more gold, guess what? They give you more experience now, because you get more gold with it.
Along with telling Sergeant Kilborn that the furries are coming. I have absolutely zero idea who I'm going to side with today.
The Immortal Throne.
Oh, and there was also another cap in one of the houses of Nipton, just FYI. I take the path out of Nipton that leads to the Legion's safe house, as to avoid more of the raiders. All of note that I got from this was some snazzy new sunglasses. I know there is a star bottle cap in that building over there, but I also know I will be eaten by ghouls if I even think of it. Next up was Novak. 2 more caps here, one in Daisy's room, and another in a random house in town. The latter of which took me a little bit to find, as I could have sworn it was in the Ilmark segment, but I appeared to be mistaken. Just outside of town is old lady Gibson's scrapyard, heading into the nearby garage, and we can claim yet another. Gotta say, this is going a lot smoother and faster than I'd initially thought. If I was just going to keep following the path of that of the first playthrough, then Camp Golf would be the next major location of caps for me to collect, and luckily, it's another place that has more than one. Conveniently, they are all right next to each other in this room that clearly belongs to somebody else dead set on claiming the treasure. While I'm here, I also grabbed the VIP card for Lucky 38, may come in handy, who knows. Being that we are right next to Lake Mead, I decided to go for a dip, and you guessed it, there is in fact some more caps at the bottom of the lake, specifically by the sunken sarsaparilla truck. I run into a spot of bother mine whenever I'm going by just a whole... Hang on one second.
this turn to go.
Okay. Have fun.
Whenever I'm joined by a whole cast of crowds.
Hey, bro, it's not my fault if you stop reading that book. I got that book for you to read. If you want to read it, you can. You don't have to read it, bro. It can sit over there and collect dust for a while.
Pretty sure there's like 3 or 4 bottle caps.
Well, yeah, because for some reason you haven't been spoiled yet by TikTok. Or you might have, you just didn't, I guess. Oh, hey, buddy.
My plan was to swim back to Camp Golf and then make a beeline for it in the hopes the troopers would let it get across. Like usual, I am overthinking the scenario as I barely have to get a few feet away from the lake and over the obstacles for my right to immediately lose interest and go back to doing whatever it is they do.
Yeah, and then Finn dies in a fucking car crash. So.
Shack, as there is yet another camp inside. As luck would have it, they were around and I was able to grab the camp.
He did. Because he did.
He didn't seem too happy about the house, so I awkwardly made eye contact with him for far longer than I should have, and then just skedaddled off to somewhere safe. The next few are in safe and easy to reach places, so I'll just rapid fire them. Bench at the Grub and Gulp, kitchen at Aerotech, barracks at Sharecropper Farm, on top of the radio in the Crimson Caravan Company, and finally one in Field Shack just outside of Nellis. With only 2 to go and having been on this search for 2 hours, I said to hell with it, and just began guzzling down all of my Sunset Sarsaparilla. Despite having around 30 of the damn things, I was only able to get 1. Annoying, but not unexpected.
I'm not going to Westmark. Going here first.
Due to me taking the path out by the fence and towards the drive-in cinema, I completely bypassed the one that was in the unmarked house at the edge of town. Sneaking past the convicts was easy enough, and even if I couldn't, it's not like they were all that tough in the first place. With that, I finally had 50 caps, and could claim my reward. The Sunset Sarsaparilla headquarters is just to the west of Sharecropper Farm, so we can be there in a flash. Talking with the Nightmare fueled at its fastest, we can accept and then immediately complete his request at collecting 50 of the star bottle caps. My reward for doing so is a history lesson that may or may not even be true. Rightly pissed by this, we ask for a better reward, to which point he unlocks the nearby doors and directs us to the back rooms. No, not that. The offices in the back of the facility. 2 problems. The room with Pew Pew is currently unreachable the traditional way due to the part of the building having been destroyed. So, like when we grabbed the matter modulator prior, it's a lot of finding your way to a higher floor so you can drop down to find an alternative. The second problem isn't that much of a big deal, but there are now protectrons and Mr. Handy's are below. They are easy enough to avoid, so before long we can leave.
No!
Choose to be represented with something different. Asking healthcare providers what to be.
Oh my god, my character got frozen, babe. And I thought I was gonna fucking die because I lost 90% of my health in like 2 seconds after I got frozen. I was terrified.
Numbers like this, that will keep talking on the man who was obsessed with the legend and was known for killing the host for the count. You know, I think the only other time he may be mentioned is by Malcolm Holmes. Considering Malcolm could die before ever making it to the player, there was also...
Did I get a new pet?
Kind of just pops up out of the blue. Regardless, we pry Pew Pew from his lifeless, capless body and get to finally see what we're dealing with. I tested on the nearby protectrons, and it certainly lays off the damage in my foot. The drawbacks are, as mentioned, the fact you can only fire twice before needing to reload. However, something I forgot to mention is that each shot doesn't just use a single energy cell, but rather 5 apiece. So that's 10 cells per reload. Meaning ammo just became a lot valuable. Pew Pew also degrades faster than a normal laser pistol, but I'm not about to sit here and pretend that's a problem, given how easy they are to find it on Have or just buy them in the vendors for that matter. I suppose thinking about it, that could also extend...
Resplendent chests sometimes have good stuff in them. It's not always, but sometimes they have decent items. There's 15 enemies left here. This could be all goody gumdrops. Just here, that guy. Here.
But like just clearing out some of the areas.
Run away from that real quick. Okay.
Checking out some of the quests I picked up during scavenger.
First off, pick that guy. Pick that one too.
But that also meant dealing with grab scorpions in the first, as they were still patiently awaiting their turn. I know it packs a punch along with a good crit chance of damage, but I was still taken aback by just how fast it was eradicating the scorpions. Once they are no more, I reach level 6 and take travel light to jump 10% faster. This isn't important to my build at all, but if I'm going to be sticking blade armor, I may as well squeeze as many bonuses out of it as quickly as possible. Comes as a shock to no one that if the rat scorpions couldn't take a chew to the face, then the giant ants would not hurt me together either. I get my pointless reward and then take myself over to Freeside to do what else but do shopping for ammo, as we are already quite low. Obviously, this leads me to the Silver Rush, where I decide I may as well become a guard for the day. Not much happens here other than I attack my student attacking me, so that I can easily blame his subsequent death on the photographs should I ever decide to go down the route of the NCR. With that done, I then of course take multiple trips to the bathroom so that I may procure some energy cells. By the time I am done, I have 660 cells, or in other words, about 132 shots before I'm out of ammo. Probably more than enough for the time, so I continue on my way. And seeing I have more than enough funds to pass the credit check, I waddle straight into Vegas to begin checking off of my list, so to speak. Victor immediately accepts me with a hello, and I figure, you know what, he is right. I should pay Mr. House a visit straight away. So, with the help of my trusty VIP card from Camp Gold, I can see myself in and can demonstrate the wondrous effects of laser eye surgery on Mr. House. News of my visit with House has already spread like a wildfire, resulting in a meeting with Ambassador Crocker, which of course is just him begging for my help to get some air support for the NCR. For now, though, we have bigger fish to fry, specifically Benny at the tops.
Sometimes I be forgetting I have my mic on, especially when I'm streaming.
needs to recharge.
Angelus Council is comprised of the 5 archangels who hold dominion over the high heavens. They determine the laws by which all angels must abide. Each of them embodies a pure aspect of creation: valor, justice, hope, faith, and wisdom.
I must wait.
Imperius, the Archangel of Valor, is the greatest warrior in all of creation. He revels in war and combat, and has led the hosts of heaven to innumerable victories. With Malthael's answers, it is Imperius who now rules over the Angelus Council, seeking always to defend the high heavens from any foe.
open.
Do not fear the end. Returning to town. Thank you. These enemies defy all reason.
That needs to recharge.
Death nears.
You have done well. Go to Westmarch if you are.
Light grows. Stronger with it.
You will make a fine corpse.
Uncovered an obscure and ancient tome in whose pages is recorded an impossible tale. The secret history of a race called the Nephilim, gods by another name, and their ruined civilization in the West. If this is true, how could all signs of these Nephilim be lost, but for the record of this single tome?
This world can abide you no longer. That needs to recharge. The grave beckons.
magic and abilities far beyond our own. Yet they were still men. I wonder if these pages hold the key to unlock their powers once again.
I have done what I can to ensure it. He always finds a way. In your heart of hearts, you know this.
outskirts of Pandemonium, a lumbering giant with a gaping hollow at its core. Somehow, it can hide its body away, disguising itself as a mere portal. Those who pass through it are trapped in a distant world, never to be seen again.
Can abide you no longer. abide you no longer.
Pandemonium is the alpha and the omega of the eternal conflict. It lies at the center of all things, linking the realms of heaven and hell. Long ago, when the angels were young, the aspect of wisdom found the eye of Anu here. He named it the World Stone, and all of heaven swore to protect it.
I must wait. I must wait.